Methylene blue has been used in India for the past 40 years, okay? When I published my study, their health minister of India came to our office, said, hey, our efficacy is only 30 to 40%. How the heck are you getting 100%? I showed them red light. He said, oh yeah, by the way, we just tell people, take the methylene blue, go outside, go in the sun. We know that if they go in the sun, they get better. It helps. Well, 660 nanometer light. That's what the difference is, okay? Has other properties too. But I'll explain to you why 660 is so important, okay? So it's been shown with all these, in studies, not by me, but other studies, of what it can do. It's excellent against chemotherapy, helps you against the side effects. Immunosuppressants, helps you protect you against their effects, okay? And India told me they can get rid of fibroids. They actually have gotten rid of fibrous lung. It took 9 months, a year. We don't have that in the United States. We can't get rid of fibrosis. Once you got a fibrous lung, you're done, okay? But they can. And our version does the same thing as theirs does. This is a complicated, I just wanted to prove to you that this is how the inflammatory process starts, and this is where methylene blue comes in and protects you. Okay? This is all the fevers and all the they're called inflammasomes. They're gene expressions that come in and start all the process of getting the inflammatory processes. So you have inflammation, you have swelling, and all that. Okay? Now, because this chemical is so diverse, because it does so many things, right now it's being looked at by many, many labs across the world. They want to be the first one to find a mechanism of actions for these other things. I don't have a mechanism of action for many things many processes of this because they don't know. They know it works, they've proven it works, but they're still trying to figure that out. So I'm putting up the ones that we know of, the ones that we have proof that actually work. So when we were doing the study, we found out that when anybody came in with a cough, no matter how much IV we gave them, no matter how much sublingual we gave them, they didn't get better. Not one of them. So we had to come up with a different version called the nebulize. As soon as they gave them a nebulization where they could inhale it into their lungs, they bounced right back. Took them a couple of days, but they bounced right back. So we had to come up with a nebulized version. Now imagine that, God forbid, you get a blood clot. Blood clot anywhere, right? Most commonly in the brain, okay? And then they give you a clot buster, okay? And then all of a sudden, wow, it's a miracle. The blood starts going back into the brain. You actually cause more problems, more death. Why? I'm trying to explain to you so you understand what I'm coming up with. It's very complicated here, if you can see. The center blue thing, see that center blue thing? To the right of it, nitrous oxide, right? So you see hypoxanthine? Hypoxanthine, right there it says xanthine, hypoxanthine, and then ROS with a red star. Reactive oxygen species. They are your enemy. They have been shown to cause cancer. They can change chemicals from good to bad. They can change your DNA. They can actually destroy your DNA if they're in high concentrations. Again, I mentioned to you yesterday, we were made perfect. We have a perfect system to counteract that. It's called glutathione, superoxide dismutase. Okay? Those two chemicals are your antidote. Unfortunately, we are around things that decrease those. We don't have enough of those. So ROS is increased in cells, causes something called apoptosis. Once there's too much concentration of that in your cells, you die. Your cells die, not you, but your cells die. And then that cell, besides dying, become some other means, and I'll show you what that means. And they can cause cancer, all right? So it's very important to have this taken care of. So imagine you have two twins. One comes to my talk, the other one's somewhere else, and both of them have a stroke, okay? One's taking methylene blue, the other one isn't, right? The one that has methylene blue, look at what it does. It protects them against this ROS species, okay? So reperfusion, if reperfusion occurs, they're protected. He's not going to get destroyed. Secondly, so if you have lack of blood to your cells, right? Lack of oxygen, lack of nutrition, cells die. What do they need? What does that oxygen supply and nutrition supply? Ability to make ATP. Your ATP drops, cell dies. Imagine you have methylene blue in there already. Cell has an extra 10 to 12 hours to live because methylene blue is there to protect it. It keeps making ATP. No matter, there's no nutrition, no oxygen, methylene blue keeps going, makes ATP over and over and over again. So you have hours instead of minutes to get to the emergency room with a blood clot. Whether it be in your chest, PE, pulmonary embolism, a stroke, or deep vein thrombosis, anything that has to do with a blood clot, if you're taking methylene blue, you're protected for hours. I want to show you how the reperfusion is helped with methylene blue. So senescent cells are cells that are too old. They get Alzheimer's. They don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know whether to die. They can't continue to heal themselves. They just stick around. And what they do is it causes more problems for you. Why? Because they release SASP. All you have to know is those are inflammatory processes, these senescent cells. Okay? They're bad for you. And methylene blue helps your cells to prevent from going into senescent cells. It's been shown. Okay? Why is this important? This is what methylene blue comes up when you manufacture it. It's 5. Just wanted to show you what the name of the chemicals are, what the enzymes are that work. Superoxide dismutase and all the before ischemia. So there was, if methylene blue is administered before ischemia, you get a lot of protection. What if you give it after? So post-ischemic methylene blue infusion. See that? Production competing with molecular oxygen at the iron-sulfur center of xanthine oxidase, okay? Acting as a willing electron acceptor for the last shuttling of electrons. So let's take a look at that. That's where that xanthine comes in. So as soon as xanthine, because it's a donor, and it causes more nitric oxide, see that? And it causes ROS, reactive oxygen species. Because anytime you have a equation in the mitochondria, you have to be able to equalize it. And the way you do it is with electrons. If you have too much, if you're making something, and this is a byproduct, if it doesn't get used up very quickly, it wants to find something to bind to, and usually reacts with other chemicals, and it causes reactive oxygen species. Hits oxygen, oxygen becomes singlet oxygen instead of 2 oxygen, O2 becomes O1, and the electrons, and then you have that reacting with other chemicals in your body, in the cytosol of the mitochondria, okay? So it is proven to help. Methylene seems to protect brain by reversing accelerated in vitro senescent cells, and that's what we talk about, senescent cells, right? It loves neurons. Methylene blue loves neurons, and it concentrates in the brain. That's why it gives you focus. That's why it gives you attention, okay? It's extremely well. It's been studied quite a bit about that. All the effects that are produced by methylene blue on the mitochondria, respiration, and antioxidant effects are useful tools to reduce the tissue reactivation and invasives of foreign substances. So how does this work? Again, it all goes down to ATP production, all right? So here you have a manufacturer that's making gas, right? If all the gas is being utilized by your cells because it's being invaded and it can't keep up with the production, what happens? Cells invade. They have the ability to invade because you can't protect yourself, right? That's why if we had a wall around the US, that's our protection, right? But what if there are so many invaders coming in and we don't have enough guys to protect the walls in forms of ATP energy? Someone's going to get through. That's what happens. So methylene blue can actually protect you from invasiveness of cells by giving your cells enough ATP for cellular protection. So why is methylene blue so good? How does it work? Okay? Has to do with what? Why am I using this? I'm activating methylene blue in my blood. That's what this is for. Why the wrist? Because we've tried the carotids, too cumbersome, people didn't like it. We tried the femoral, again, too complicated, it's very, very uncomfortable. So we thought, hey, the arm, nope, didn't work. But you have an artery and vein that go here, all the way down, circle, do a U-turn, and go right back up. So you get a 4-pass right at the wrist. And it's the closest of the artery and veins in your body. And this red light, has enough power to joule, because it has to do with joules and radiation. Look, it goes right through your skin. That's how powerful it is, okay? Besides doing methylene blue, the red light does many other things. Many other, especially nitric oxide, as a signaler for many, many things. Many, many processes in your body. So, you look at this. So why is there so many peaks? What does this mean? This is the absorption spectrum for methylene blue. Okay? When you shine light on it, you want to see which one it absorbs the most. You see all those little peaks, tiny peaks? Those are all contaminants. The azure A, azure B, azure C, thionin. The most one is around 660, 670. That's methylene blue. Okay? Now, why is that important? So when you have methylene blue and you shine light on it, see those rings on methylene blue? What is light? It's just electrons, right? I can feel the heat. How the heck does it heat my hand? I can feel the heat because electrons are hitting my hand. Electrons have properties. One of the properties, one of them is heat when it hits your body. So it hits that chemical, it absorbs it like a battery, like a capacitor. And it holds it and circulates. It just goes around and around and around. It holds it until it gets rid of it. How does it get rid of it? By hitting something it likes. It loves lipid-based envelope viruses. What is that? So, this is not proven by me. This is proven by studies in other countries, not by me. Okay? It does do HIV. It does do hepatitis and herpes. It has been done in Mexico. I consult with many firms, many doctors, and we have protocols in place that do these, okay? Excellent against staph, strep, MRSA, and Lyme. It's fantastic against Lyme and MRSA. Strep throat, in a matter of 10 minutes, gone. Okay? It's amazing. Amazing what it does, okay? Malaria, of course, everyone knew because that's what it was invented for, right? Now, there's something there called MAOI, MAO inhibitor. What the heck is that? Remember the fighter? His concentration, reflexes. So this is a monoamine oxidase inhibitor. If you inhibit monoamine oxidase is actually an enzyme that stops all the neurotransmission in your brain. All it means is that whenever I want to do something, okay, there is a enzyme, there's a chemical that goes from one place to another, from one nerve to another. Then if you don't stop it, it will continue and continue and continue. You can get seizures. It won't stop. So you have an enzyme that stops it right away. It's called monoamine oxidase inhibitor. So it inhibits that reproduction, right? So this stops that. So what happens? Your serotonins go up. What are serotonins? They're neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are for focus, for memory, okay? For reflexes. It's all about nerves. And that's what it's good for, okay? It works beautifully, all right? And I told you about the anti-inflammatory effects of it. Anti-inflammatory effects of like what? MS. Common dosages. This is where everyone's going to get a little bit different, okay? My study was done. Now remember, I had to do a study that I wanted to make sure everyone in the world can take it, which means no matter what medication you were on, no matter what ailment you had, you could take this, okay? All studies that were done on methylene blue where the side effects occur were done at 120 milligrams and above. Those studies were done 600, 1,200, 3,600 milligrams. And they had such side effects, such huge side effects. So I had to come up with something that had no interaction with anything. So I chose 5 milligrams. The reason I chose 5 is because the silver, the gold enhanced the ability for methylene blue to work tremendously. Multiple times, folds of 50 to 60. I mean, it's so incredible how just 5 milligrams works just as effective as 1,200 milligrams of pure methylene blue, okay? But they're still doing tests. This is what they recommend. If you go to a hospital, if you have methylglobin, this is what they do. They give you 60 to 120 milligrams 3 times a day. But that is for methylglobin, okay? So right now, they're doing 1 to 2 milligrams per kilogram. We're saying an average of 70 kilogram person. That's 140 grams, right? 140 milligrams. So the side effect profile occurs at concentrations of about, let's say, 7 per kilogram. 7 times 70 is what? Close to 500. That's where it starts. 500, not 5. That's pure methylene blue. Okay? Our concentrations are much lower. That's why anyone can take it. And we'll go over that why it's that important. So what are some of the applications of biohacking? How can you make it better? It's considered a nootropic, okay? Look at that. Cognitive functions, executive functions, attention, and memory. There's a study done. They gave one dose of methylene blue. 7% better with one dose. We don't even know what methylene blue they were using. That might have been the one that had only 25% efficacy. But still, 7% increase in correct answers. Lots of studies on Alzheimer's, both positive and negative. Parkinson's, psoriasis, multiple sclerosis. It's also being used by a lot of sports people to enhance their performance. So again, red light, right? For biohacking, okay, activates. So you don't have to have methylene blue to feel better with this watch, because this does other things. Like I said, nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is an excellent stimulator. Not only does it increase your, so let's say you're wearing this. Yesterday we were talking about nicotinamide, right? Niacin. Take this, opens up the arteries. Niacin opens up the arteries. But niacin does something different. Increases HDL. What's HDL? The good cholesterol. Why? It's a bus. Goes around, picks up all the small and bad cholesterols, takes it to your liver and repackages it. That's what's important. That's what this can do. Without methylene blue. The methylene blue on top of it, well, it's fantastic.